Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the virtual workshop on solar energy technology, installations, and cells, being organized by the International Center for Energy and Environmental Sustainability Research, University of New York, in collaboration with Clean Energy. So today's facilitators, we have Ogo Basonuk, who is the CEO of Clean Energy. We also have with us here our special guest, Shegun Adaju, who is the CEO of Consistent Energy and also the President, Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria. Our host and convener today is the Director of our Center, Dr. James Ina. We will also have with us later on the Executive Director of Clean Energy, Mrs. Ini Onuk, who will join us later on. I shall be moderating today's session. My name is Nanaka Basofyong, a research fellow at the International Center for Energy and Environmental Sustainability Research. Once again, you are welcome. A brief of the Netiquette. So please kindly mute your microphone when you are not speaking. Switch off your camera during the presentations. Of course, you know that the camera also could affect the bandwidth of your transmission. Make sure that there are no background noises when you are speaking. In case you intend to give us a feedback, you can raise your hand. You can use the raising of hand function, or you use the chat option. If you have questions, remarks, or some disagreements, please lodge them in the chat section, and we shall be collecting these questions and attend to them much later during the session. For the speakers and our facilitators, we kindly ask that you stick to time and keep your remarks and discussion as brief as possible. Recording, aside from the one that we are doing from this other end, is not allowed. We also ask that the facilitators will keep you updated. Sorry, the facilitators will keep you updated at the beginning of their respective workshop sessions. And then at the end of this workshop, we shall give feedback forms, and then certificates will be emailed to each participant. Once again, use the chat option, and also if you have further information that you need to send to us, please contact us through our email, ICEESR@UNIUYO.edu.ng. You can also reach us through our website at www.iceesr.org.ng. You can follow us on our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So I will now hand over to the director of our center to talk more and welcome you to our center before we start the workshop proper.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, and thank you, Dr. Fyong. Please, like Dr. Fyong mentioned, please, if you are not speaking, please, can you mute your phone and your video to allow us to have the audio to be good? And then, please, Dr. Fyong, I think the CEO of Clean Energy, Onuk, is asking you for a link. Please, can you sort him out? Can you just send a message?
Yes,
or him?
I have admitted him to the room.
Okay. Thank you. What do I? Okay, I need to.
You need to share your screen.
My screen, and please, can you give me some moment to do that, to share my screen? Okay. What's happening now?
check below, you see the green button, and then
I've sent share screen, but I mean, it's not on the, I wanted to keep it, it's not
okay,
on the,
okay, you
but
can
it's
see your
not in
screen now.
the, yeah, but you're seeing it, but it's not in the PPT, in the
The
slideshow.
presentation mode. Okay, okay. You can.
Yes.
I think there is
So
a
what
button
do I
below there.
do that?
You can click. There is a button below there. You can click to make it.
Okay,
Yeah,
from,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah. That's it.
Okay, okay, so I'm fine now, okay. Yeah, so once again, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this virtual workshop. I'd like to start by thanking the Almighty God for making it possible for us to have this event today. I'd like to recognize in absentia the latest Vice Chancellor in town, our new Vice Chancellor, Professor Untitled Chapter, and his management team. And I'd like to recognize our guest speaker who is here, Segun Adegu. I'd like to recognize our facilitators and all the other, I'd like to recognize the professors who have joined us and all the other participants. You are welcome. So this virtual workshop is a follow-up to our second University Industry Engagement Forum, where we featured the solar energy technology and the solar energy industry in Nigeria. And we had a lot of feedback from participants desiring to have more information in this business. And so we thought we could do a sensitization and awareness seminar. So the objective of today's event basically is to sensitize and give more awareness to the solar energy technology industry in Nigeria, both in terms of the aspects of installation and sales. In future, we will be having more technical workshops that will be dedicated to each of those topics in future. So today's meeting is just to give us a sense of what the industry is and how the basic understanding. And we are very honored to be having a major player in this industry with over 20 years of experience, who is going to be throwing more light in terms of the finance aspects. And is no other person than our special guest, Segun Adegu. We are greatly privileged and honored to have him spare his ever busy schedule to attend this webinar. So permit me to just introduce our center, who is hosting this event. The International Center for Energy and Environmental Sustainability Research, University of UNIUYO, which at this stage we are exploring partnerships. The idea to start up this center was conceived as far back as 2010. The approval by the university was given in 2012, and we had the groundbreakings and foundation laying for our permanent building in 2015, and that the work is ongoing at the moment. And so currently we are seeking collaborations, especially from the industry. And because we do not want to fall into the normal, into the temptation of where you have academics doing their own research while the industry is also doing their own bit. The main purpose of the idea is to see how we can close the gap between industry and university, so that researchers in the university will be doing market-driven and industry-driven researches. The vision of our center is to become one of the top 10 innovation centers in the world, and our mission is to be a center of excellence in research, technology, and innovation, driving scalable and sustainable solutions to challenges in energy and environment in Africa, basically. So our core mandate includes incubation of ideas and innovations for the market, transformation of academic researches into technologies for commercialization, and solution offering for the market and small and medium enterprises. We realize, especially in this climate, that there are several challenges that SMEs have, but we do not really have universities looking to work with the SMEs to find solutions. So it is our mandate to co-develop, execute and co-implement and even co-deploy sustainable technologies in the areas of energy and environment. And we are also a center with a mandate to develop human capacity, both for our state, for our country, and for Africa sub-region. In terms of our strength and capacities in the energy sector, we are interested into those are, and if you look at the left-hand side, those are some of the focal areas, some of our thematic areas in the environment side of things. In the energy side of things, which is in your right-hand side, those are some of the thematic areas that we have capacity and we are interested in collaborations. In terms of our partner, yes, there's always a concern about the knowledge gap and skills when it comes to Africa and centers of research and excellence in Africa. So we have academic partners. We really have, so these are the academic partners listed here, our main key academic partners. We collaborate with the Institute of Sustainable Collaborative Center in Germany. We work closely with Gwangi Institute of Science and Tech, which is one of the United Nations universities partners. We collaborate closely with Lancaster Environment Center at Lancaster University. And we collaborate closely with the American Chemical Society. We have a lot of, we have some other industry partners, and so which, if you're interested, you can look go to our website and you see some of our other industry partners. So if you want to find out more about us, please just visit our website there, or you can send us an email there, or just follow any of our social media channels there, whether it's the Facebook, the Twitter, YouTube, and the Instagram page. You'll have a lot of information about us, and we'll be very, very happy to read and hear from you. And please, we really like to encourage, if you're an SME or you plan to be one, please just take time off and complete our industry survey form, which is available at the link I have posted there. And please, the technical team, can you put that link in the chat button so that people can also see the link? And for other inquiries you can then reach us on all those our channels. So I'll just like to give a little preview about what expectations for today. So we have about 3 sessions of engagement. First, we'll have a session where we'll give our guest speaker time to present, and then he will take some questions. And after that, we will now go to the workshop section, starting first with the installation aspects. So with the installation aspects, we have our key facilitator, Owo Basionuk, who is the CEO of Clean Energy. He's going to talk about take that aspect. And after that, in that aspect, there'll be a series of interactions, there'll be a series of questions, both from the facilitators to the participants and participants there. So you better be engaged, because if you are successful in answering the questions, maybe you may have some discount in our future training, or even if you want to have installation. So please be very attentive. And after the installation session, we will go into the sales session. And the reason we want to expose all the participants to these 2 important sections is so that you just have some background knowledge. So whether you are thinking about starting a solar energy business, you have opportunity to be able to see the numbers, because some people were asking, oh, what will be the basic capital investments? So that's why. And then even if you're interested in owning a solar system, putting one to help you address your electricity challenge in your home, then you also need to have some basic understanding of installation aspects. So at the end of it, we will be running series of specialized training in these areas of installation, sales, or project or business, entrepreneurship, and all of that. At that stage, we will now give you an opportunity to specialize, to decide which area in the whole space of solar energy technology you wish to be the guru. So that is how today's event is going to flow. So at this joint, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker for this event, Segun Adeju. I'm really, really very honored and privileged to have this opportunity to introduce Segun. I have known Segun as far back as over 10 years ago when we were starting the solar energy thing in Nigeria through the Energy Commission of Nigeria. And there was a workshop, a conference organized by Energy Commission of Nigeria. And I happened to be in that workshop. And that was how I started the engagement with Segun. And we have been able to sustain that relationship, hoping that Akwa Ibom State and the people in these states will be more interested in keying into the renewable energy market. And so today, I'm really pleased that he has given me this opportunity to be part of this workshop so that he can really enlighten us about the huge opportunities in the solar energy industry in Nigeria. So Segun is a clean energy specialist with specific focus in the financing and project management. Financing and project management. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what what I click and then I'm not seeing my screen again. Nanake, please, can you put me back on? What's happening here?
Yeah, I think you should go back.
How do I go back?
No.
Okay. So are you helping me share? Are you sharing from your angle?
Okay, let me do that for you.
It's just the last slide. I mean the last slide. Yes.
Okay, about the speaker, right?
Yes, about the speaker. Can you keep it in?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I think I wanted to like put height. Okay. So Segun is a clean energy specialist with special focus on financing and project management. His passion is always to create economic opportunities for the base of the pyramid through innovative solutions that improve the capacity of the poor to earn more income, thereby taking them out of poverty. He is the President, Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria. He is the Chief Energizing Officer, Consistent Energy Limited, and the lead consultant, Blue Ocean Nigeria. Segun holds an MBA degree in finance from the University of Lagos, and he has attended several professional development programs within and outside Nigeria. Just permit me to list some of them. He has attended the Renewable Energy Academy, Berlin, Germany, Frankfurt School, UNEP Collaborating Center for Climate and Sustainable Energy Financing, the Euromoney Finance, London, MIT Sloan School of Management, Harvard Business School, and the Lagos Business School. So Segun is particularly interested. He has a vision to displace 1 million small generators in Nigeria used by small businesses by year 2020. And he intends to replace them with rooftop standalone solar solutions, solar direct on your rooftop. Very ambitious vision, but I know Segun and I know he's going to tell us more about how he hopes to accomplish this ambiguous and this very ambitious vision. So I'd like to welcome Segun to give his presentation. Segun, you have the floor now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. And I say good morning to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. So I'll just show my face a little bit and then I'll go off the video because of our bandwidth. It's a pleasure, really. Let me try and share my screen. Yes, I think I'm there. So please let me know if you see my screen. So while that is coming up, I just want to mention 3 key items that doctor talked about while she was, making the intro. Number one is that we met 10 years ago, and I'm very delighted. I'm happy to have met her 10 years ago. And it's a relationship we've kept. And I was just thinking, uh, at the back of my head that by 2021, we must begin to deploy solutions for SMEs in Akwa Ibom. Doctor, we have to take up that challenge. So I listed it as one of those takeaways from here. All right. I also, like the way Doctor has approached this issue, the issue of research. I mean, closing the gap between research and the market. So I represent the market. I believe Doctor represents the research. So we have to make it happen. We must have visible impact on our society. And I commit that 2021, that must happen. Then finally, I'm sure when you read 1 million generators, you'll be wondering, 1 million by year 2030. So my plan is to be that catalyst and then drag in other, interested players like yourself into that space. You'll be shocked that we have between 40 to 60 million generators in Nigeria, depending on the figure you are using, either World Bank, African Development Bank, Nigeria Bureau of Statistics, and then maybe GIZ. Okay, so that will be my opening shot. And I'll do this in less than 10 minutes so that we can focus on the real issue this morning. Right, so let me just take you through briefly the market opportunities that I see in Nigeria in terms of solar power. Clearly, we have over 208 million people. You'll be surprised that less than half of us are connected to the national grid. So less than half of Nigerians have energy access. The estimated current demand today is over 40,000 megawatts. But if we are using international benchmark, the energy supply that we should create to say we have energy access will be 208,000 megawatts. Meanwhile, the grid can only supply 4,000. Installed capacity is 13,000. The transmission grid can only do 7,000. We're hoping that the Siemens deal will improve that. Okay. I've talked about conservatively between 30 to 60 million. Some use words 40 if you add a better pass my neighbor and all the rest of it. So basically, it's clear that the energy situation in Nigeria is challenged. You and I, we've spent close to 6 trillion naira every year just to fuel generators. Amazing. So when we're talking about energy access, it cuts across about 5 or 6 bands. Tier 1, people who are not connected to the grid, they use candle, kerosene, lantern, and the rest. Tier 1, just lighting. Tier 2, maybe fan and radio. Tier 3, you're adding blender and some other equipment to it. Tier 4, you're having fridge, maybe some TV, and then Tier 5, you're talking about a microwave and the rest. Very few Nigerians are Tier 5, very, very few. Some are Tier 4, the majority of Nigerians, 55% of Nigerians are Tier 0, not connected to national grid. And the demand and supply, like I earlier mentioned, the gap is huge. So this represents demand, and this represents supply. I mean, you can just plot the graph and see the huge difference that we have in terms of supply and demand in Nigeria. I talked about generators. Let me also dwell a little bit on generators right now. So the estimate is that in Nigeria, we use generators to produce electricity that is almost 4 times, at times 5 times, what the national grid gives us. So assume national grid gives you 5,000 megawatts. That means generators do between 16,000 to about 20,000 megawatts. I mean, I'm very sure virtually all of us here will have one form of generator or the other, except myself that is speaking to you, because my house has been on solar for 7 years. I believe most of you will have generators. And then you spend several amounts, monthly, daily, powering those generators. Very expensive. It has an impact on climate change. It eats deep into your pockets, and just, a lose-lose situation, if I can say that. Right. Okay, so I'll focus a lot on this generator, this tiny generator because I better pass my neighbor, and I'll tell you why. Right. Okay, I'm trying to move my slide. I think I have an issue here. Okay, my slide is hooked. I don't know what's wrong.
You probably need to use your keyboard. Maybe you can use your keyboard.
Yes, I'm doing that now. So let me stop sharing and go back and share again. Maybe that would. Sorry about this. Okay. Okay, so talking about generators, please, if you can see the slide, let me know.
Yes, we can see them.
All right. Still not moving. Okay, I'll have to just figure out what the issue is. I wanted to show you some pictures about, how people are powering themselves using generators.
I can share your screen from this end if you want.
Okay, please do if that would make it better. But let me just give it a final try. Can you see now?
It's coming up. Yes, we can see now.
Okay, so let me just do this. So you can see a picture of people queuing for petrol at the filling stations in Nigeria. And this is a regular occurrence. Okay, I think you have to share because my slide is not moving, unfortunately.
Okay, that's fine. Let me try.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll run with this. So this is, yes, that's the next slide that I wanted to show you. Generator, people queue for fuel, basically, and majority of them use it to power their generators. Next, please. Then, we see generators. There was a time it was a ban. It was an offense to take a jerry can to your filling station. So people had actually moved generators to filling stations for fuel. So as cars were queuing, generators were also queuing up. Next slide, please. So we can see various pictures. This is what they use it for. This is I better pass my neighbor. I took a count and I saw about 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 7 small generators in this picture alone. Next slide. And this is at the back of Alade Market before it was collapsed. So you see several generators powering SMEs. Next, please. And this is the solar potential for the world. I want you to particularly look at Africa and compare it to European countries and maybe North America, and take a look at where Nigeria is. The more reddish you go, the more potential you have. So Australia, North America, somewhere in Southern Africa, North Africa, Southern Africa, and of course, Nigeria, huge potentials for solar. Next slide. And then I did a comparison. I just picked some pictures from the global solar map, comparing Nigeria with Germany. So that means the upper part of Nigeria, you have more potentials. And then Germany has less potential than us. And there was a day I was in Germany. We went on a study tour. And solar was generating about 19,000 plus megawatts. And wind was doing close to 22,000 megawatts. In Germany, that does not have the resources of solar that we have in Nigeria. It's estimated by ECN that if you use 1% of the land mass of Nigeria and you put solar panel on it, you power the whole of Nigeria. You can generate 207,000 gigawatt hour per annum, enough to power Nigeria. Next slide. Meanwhile, we are not exploring those potential. There is no solar that is connected to the grid in Nigeria currently, apart from Usuma Dam that is under test in Abuja. The IPPs, 14 plants that were given power purchase agreement, they have not gone to site at all. No financial closure for so many reasons. So we have huge potentials, but we're not deploying. Why? Let's look at the next slide. Now, during COVID-19, we realized that really the best and the fastest way to power Nigeria is actually using what we call distributed renewable energy technologies. And I will focus on solar. So we had several testing centers that were powered during this period. We had several isolation centers. I'll show you some of the pictures. My company had more installation during the lockdown than before the lockdown. I'm sure you're surprised. We realized that more people were at home. More people were working from home. As I speak to you now, I'm working from my home office. My main office has been shut down since March, and we have not reopened it. So we understand really we can do business, remotely without having a physical office. Very interesting. But of course, I have data and I have to have power to speak to all of us on this webinar. So that's what we realized. Students are doing, lessons from home. So there was more demand for energy during the period. And then the grid could not supply those power. And then solar companies became the go-to providers of energy. Interesting. Next slide. Now, these are pictures of various installations that were done. One of our members, president of RIAN, powering isolation centers in partnership with the Rural Electrification Agency. These are the pictures. You can see panels. You can see, equipment. You can see the lady working here using those technologies. Next slide. This is Igbobi Orthopedic Hospital that was put on solar during that lockdown period because of a testing center that was open there. Interesting. Next, please. This is the Rural Electrification Agency that powered a hospital at the outskirts of Abuja, a place called Gwagwalada. Is an hospital, I think, Abuja Teaching Hospital that was powered by REA, Rural Electrification Agency. So even government is beginning to see that solar is the go-to solution for energy deficit in Nigeria. Next, please. So these are the data board. A member of RIAN, Blue Camel Energy, was the one that did the project. Next, please. During the period, we partnered with Lagos State government to donate solutions that were distributed to rural, centers, rural communities during the lockdown. So just keep people active, because at the time, people wanted to be restive. So they are under lockdown, they're at home, there is no power, and they're just bored, and they wanted to protest. So Lagos State just found okay, let's keep them busy, let's give them solar solution, and then let them watch TV, and let them get busy, and then they were able to address the restiveness. Next, please. So this is one of our members. This is energy, and then the next one is cloud energy. This is the commissioner for energy in Lagos State in the middle, and my humble self, facilitating those initiatives. Next, please. And then let me share with you as I close some market developments. Solar is becoming the big deal in Nigeria. I want you to take that away from this event. Number two, distributed solar. So the one you can put on your rooftop, the one that small businesses can use to replace the generator, it's become the in thing. Government recently, I think on Tuesday, launched a 5 million solar homes systems connection. I'm sure you've heard about all that. We can share further information with a doctor who can also share with all the participants. There's what we call levelized cost of electricity. Right now, the cost of energy in Nigeria compared to solar is beginning to achieve what we call parity. Parity means it's coming close to become the same. So fuel is on the increase. Government has increased the price of fuel and it's still going up. Government has increased the price of grid electricity and it might still go up. Meanwhile, the price of solar is coming down, except for dollar that has disrupted that space, but it is becoming better. So very soon, solar will become equal and almost cheaper than grid or your generator. In fact, it's cheaper than generator already. It's only the grid that we are waiting for, maybe sometime 2021 to achieve full grid parity with solar. Next slide. And in quick succession, I'll just share with you what I think is the future of energy needs in Nigeria. Please, let's roll this slide next. So we're going to see Pico Solar, standalone, very rare communities that are not connected to the grid using Pico Solar lamps, plug and play, and also solar solution. So this is my roof in Lagos. This roof where you have solar direct. This is what powers me. For 7 years, I've been running on solar. The picture you are seeing below is my barber in Lagos. I started with this barber shop. That was the first barber shop I powered with solar. And today we've done about over 1,000 barber shops running on solar power. Next slide. This is a mini grid in Niger State. One of our members of RIAN, this is Ifeanyi Orajaka of GV. So he's rolling out mini grids, and he just launched one yesterday that is about 343 kilowatt peak in another community, in the southwest. So that's what Nigeria, that's where energy needs is going to in Nigeria, and now in the nearest future. Next, please. And then this is an apartment in Abuja, center of Abuja. It's a place called Gozape Hills. Blue Camel powered 10 apartments with solar, wind, and water heating system. This apartment is even interesting. It's better than what I have in Lagos. In Lagos, my house is connected to the grid, but I don't rely on the grid. I have 24 hours of power. This apartment in Abuja is not connected to the grid and does not run on generator. So it's completely off grid in the center of Abuja, powered by this. And it's run for about 4 years now, going 5 years. Next slide. This is a generator assembly and reselling company in Lagos, owned by a friend of mine, and they have gone solar. So they have installed solar on their rooftop in their factory. You can see generators on the ground all over the whole place. So they are wiser now, knowing that generator is not better for them. Meanwhile, they are producing generator for you and I to buy, and then using solar to power their business. Next, please. This is a filling station in Lagos. Several total filling stations are going solar now. This station generates 95,702 kilowatt hour per year. It powers all the pumps, about 12 pumps. There's a supermarket beside it. All the cooling systems and the rest are run on solar. So total filling station is using solar to power their pumps that sell fuel to you and I to go and power our generators at home. Is that not interesting? Next slide. And this is a farming, this is a grinding facility in Ilorin that we powered. This is the grinder, this is the battery, this is the inverter and the charge controllers, and this is the panel. And it's been running for about 4 years now. Next, please. The last one is we are not also going to, we're powering cell sites. You can see some solar panels by the side. It's basically to reduce energy consumption through diesel generators from those cell sites. So, and there are 45 to 50,000 of such cell sites in Nigeria, huge market. Final slide, final 2 slides, just to share with you. So my vision, like I say, is to catalyze a movement of people that will displace 1 million generators by year 2030. Let me tell you, my own share of this figure is 100,000 generators by year 2030. And I'll replace them with solar power, basically for SMEs. I've gone over 1,000, so I have to say less than 9,000 to go. I mean, yes. No, I've done 1,000, so over 99,000 to go. So I'm calling on you and I to join that race to make this happen. Then the final slide is to talk about RIAN. We're an industry association. We have members, both business, consultants, engineers, researchers who wants to make that vision happen. Our vision is to ensure that the energy mix contains 40% of renewables by year 2030. And then we will have impacted our world, improved the environment, increased energy access, and then we'll make money along that space. Let me tell you, what we do is I'm a financier The barber shops that I run, I provide finance, I deploy, and they pay me on every week. They pay me 5,000 every week for 2 years, and they own the system. I'm looking forward to having further discussion with Doctor on how we can make this happen in Akwa Ibom. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to taking your questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Segun. Fantastic. A really insightful presentation, and I'm sure participants, there'll be some reactions even from some participants in the house. But let me just start by asking maybe my own questions. Yes, because I'm wearing my sustainability cap now, and I'm looking at, yeah, you're replacing generators with solar panels. And I recall that I know sometime in my state, you had these solar panel farms. And then after some time, and I don't know what happened, and it became like a kind of waste where you're having panels. So I'm wondering, yeah, by 2020, when you'll be having several tons of maybe solar panels, what are you looking at in terms of the disposal, in terms of the waste burden, and in terms of sustainability?
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. Let me take that quickly. So we are aware that the issues of waste and waste management around renewable energy technologies, particularly batteries. So let me tell you, for example, solar panels have about 25, 30 years of lifespan. Some batteries, 3, 5, 7, 10 years. But what happens after the shelf life of this equipment? So what we have done is to also proactively set up a network that will take responsibility for recycling and proper waste management. Currently, batteries, panels, and the rest are not properly recycled in Nigeria. So you have some guys that will just collect. You're wondering if you have used an inverter before. Some guys will buy the used batteries for like 5,000. You'll be wondering what are they doing with it? They take it somewhere, break it up, throw away the lead, pollute the soil, and take whatever is useful and maybe export it and just make some little money. Meanwhile, they're killing the environment. So we have approached, that's the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria under my leadership. We approached the Ministry of Environment and NESREA to set up an alliance called Alliance for Proper Battery Recycling. There's what we call Extended Producers Responsibility. So we have assumed that, and we are telling our members that you have to recycle properly. And then there's a law that will come out very soon that will make it illegal for you to just break up a battery and pollute the environment. You must properly recycle your batteries. You must send them to the proper channels. Working with Standard Organization of Nigeria and the rest. We believe strongly by year 2021, that will be, a big issue. And then we'll be able to manage and control the waste and the pollution that might come out of deploying renewable energy technology. So that's our plan.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So so another question I would like you to talk about, the issue of financing. So how easy? So maybe I'm a young person, unemployed, and I want to get into this solar energy entrepreneurship enterprise. So how easy is it to get finance to start up? And
okay,
what are the options? What are the options? Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm pretty happy that this series, this is a series, and we're expecting subsequent edition of this event. And I believe that entrepreneurship, maybe startups, will be some topic that we have to talk at some time. I currently run a startup hub in Lagos that promotes people to start up businesses in several sectors. Priority sectors like Greek, ICT, and energy, and some others. We know one of the big challenges, funding. But I know there are incubation centers, there are venture capital firms, there are innovation hubs that new businesses can approach and, get their ideas refined and business plan developed, and then they can raise startup or seed funding. I'll mention a few. For example, there is Olon. Olon is a subsidiary of Shell, and they have a center in Lagos, and they have been promoting new entrepreneurs. They give between 10,000 to up to 100,000 naira grants for new businesses. For example, recently they gave 7 young Nigerians $10,000. I mean, I'm talking about dollars, not naira. $10,000 grants to incubate their business idea around renewables. They have also given several companies. Last year with USADF, they gave about 22 companies a $100,000 grant to incubate their funding. So and there are several others. There's Clean Tech Hub, based in Abuja, run by Efi Malo. There's a NCIC, Nigerian Conservation Innovation Center, something, housed by Enterprise Development Center of the Lagos Business School. So you can be a student, you can be fresh from the university, you just have an idea. You can approach this organization, they can help you incubate your business idea, develop, refine it, and turn it into a business idea, and support you with grant funding. There are others internationally that we can turn young Nigerians to, to look for raising funding. So like I said, in subsequent edition, this might be what we need to focus on after doing installation and learning about sales. How can they raise funding? I'm happy my hub will be ready to also take on business ideas and see how we can incubate them. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So I'd just like you to respond to 2 questions sent in by our audience, one from Ethiopia. And the idea is that when you're talking solar, yeah, almost everything is about off-grid. But then that some energy policies in some of African countries, including Nigeria, has to do with in-grid, you see, on-grid. So how do you promote solar energy as an on-grid energy option? That's the first question. And then the second question about the economics of demand and space. How can you, what are the considerations to enable optimal supply? And then finally, I'd just like you to address the issue of research, because there's concern. How do we, COVID has taught us that we need to build in-country capacity. Are we looking at panels and importation of panels from other European countries and Asian countries? What is the organization doing to strengthen in-country capacity development in research and development? So I'd like you to quickly use 5 minutes to wrap up that so that we can move to the next session because of time.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Ma. I'll quickly respond to this. Yes, I agree with you. Renewable energy is both on and off grid. The typical example I cited about Germany, the day I visited their control center, when they had about over 19,000 megawatts and about 22 or 24,000 megawatts of wind, and 90,000 megawatts of solar. They were all connected to the grid, all connected to the national grid. So both, renewable energy is both on grid and off grid. And taking Nigeria, for example, Nigeria is also addressing that both ways. So there are 14 companies that have been given licenses to generate about 1,125 megawatts of solar that will be connected to the grid. And government, they signed an agreement, power purchase agreement with the MBEC, Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading Company. And so that's on-grid. There's also room for off-grid. My company, we focus on on-grid. That's my core competence, because most of my target market, the customers I deal with, they are not connected to the grid. They are SMEs that use small generators, and then it's an area I focus on. So our association, we promote both on and off grid, and we support policies that promote on and off grid. For example, I made some input into, and I'm still making some input into the development of what we call the net metering policy for Nigeria. What does it mean? There's a policy that can make you and I encourage us to put solar on our rooftop. So during the day when we have excess energy, you can sell to the national grid. And then it promotes the grid and also it promotes rooftop solar. So I agree it's both on and off grid. But for example, in Nigeria, we have some challenges about our grid. Our grid is currently challenged. I'm not sure we can take on up to 8 or 10,000 megawatts of power currently. But with Siemens, we're expecting it to go up to 25,000. So there's a limitation to the grid transmission also. And meanwhile, off-grid can do a lot of things. And it works in Kenya, East Africa, it works in other countries, really. Number two, talking about the economies of demand and also space. You need space. For example, I hope I got that question right, but let me answer with my own understanding. So you want to do maybe 10 kilowatt peak of solar for your rooftop, and your roof cannot take it. Or you want to do 2 megawatt of on-grid solar. You need a large land space to put the panels. So there's a balance between space and the energy that you can generate. For me, and for example, my roof can take what solar power that I need. We have, and I tell people that we have over 923,000 square kilometers of land space in Nigeria. If we use 1% of that alone, I mean, say about 20,000 square kilometers, it's more than enough to power us in Nigeria. And then you have the over 900,000 square meters square kilometers to do any other thing you want to do. Okay, but that's the idea. So the space is the constraint, but space is also available. Each time I look around, I just see all the rooftops around me and they are empty. And these are spaces. Very soon, we might get to a situation in Nigeria where a company like mine, I'm thinking forward, I'm thinking already of that. I will rent all the roof spaces I can see, put solar panel on them, sell to the national grid, and provide some energy to my clients that have rented the rooftops, and then pay them for the use of their roof. How about that? I mean, with those rooftops, I'm sure we can generate as much as possible, and then we can sell to the grid. So our grid, demand and space, it's an issue that I'm sure we can get over it. Then finally, about issue of research and COVID-19, and then local content. Yes, our association, we are very particular about in-country production. And I will share with you a few things that we have done. Some of our members are already producing locally. I can tell you, I can share with you about 2 or 3 companies that are assembling solar panels in Nigeria already. I can share with you about 4 or 5 companies that are producing inverters locally already. And then I know one company, Beto, somewhere in Newi, if I'm correct. It's the only battery manufacturing company that is left in Nigeria. We used to have about 7 or 8 of them. They're also doing some solar batteries now. But there is a forward-looking approach that we have taken to promote local production. If you read the solar connection facility that just been launched, local production is going to be taken seriously. You must have local content before you can access that facility. For example, my company and a few partners were setting up a solar manufacturing facility somewhere in Ogun State. We're negotiating the land space. We're talking to investors and the rest. So very soon we'll also be doing our solar panel in Nigeria. So basically, yes, local content is very important, and Nigeria is also already looking forward to that, and it's also an opportunity that many of us here should take a look at. I'm happy to provide further information through Doctor on the opportunities and how we can go about it. Thank you. I hope I've been able to address this question.
Yes, you have done fantastic. Thank you so much, Segun. I can't thank you enough. And like you have said, I know this is just the beginning. I hope we will have several of these, because for our people here, especially Akwa Ibom State, there need to be massive sensitization and awareness to get them to key into all of these opportunities. Thank you so much. We're really, really grateful. So I now hand over to Dr. Ofyong to introduce the next speaker, and we go directly to the installation aspects.
Thank you very much. And I would like to once again thank our guest speaker for today for dissecting the business of solar energy in Nigeria and indeed in Africa. Just a tip for the next speakers that will come in. We have some participants who are from other African countries like Ghana, Tanzania, and Ethiopia. So when you are doing your presentation, it would be necessary to give it a broad perspective, like the African context. Thank you very much. So right now, I would like to introduce our next facilitator and speaker for today, Mr. Vison, who is CEO of Clean Energy. He shall be driving the session, particularly surrounding the topic of installations. So, Vison is an energy consultant with more than 12 years professional expertise in solar energy systems engineering. He is the CEO of Clean Energy, a leading solar energy company in Nigeria that has successfully installed power systems in 15 different states in Nigeria, providing 24/7 electricity to homes, businesses, and commercial buildings, banks, data centers, and commercial buildings, banks, data centers. So I would like to hand over the stage to Mr. Vison. I would like to hand over the stage to Mr. Vison. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm glad to be here again. It's really been an interesting conversation. While I was listening, I got the challenge, and I think this is really important for all of us to embrace, to remove 1 million generators before 2030. Wonderful, wonderful dream. And I really doff my cap for our elder, Segun Adaju. He has already set a major pace by taking off at least 1,000 generators. This is really wonderful. And this conversation, it's a conversation that I personally joined, 12 years ago. And you see, much of what we're doing today is to build capacity, to expand the interest and the scope of which people can engage in solar power systems. And I'm going to share my screen shortly because there's a number of things I'd like to talk about which will critically affect your disposition if you're an entry, if you're coming into the industry newly. Okay.
Could you share your screen, sir, please?
I want to share.
Could you share your screen?
Yes, that's what I'm doing right away. Yeah, that's it. Are we together? Okay, so my screen is up now. Are we together? Hello?
Yes, your screen is up, but it is not in slideshow.
Yes, your screen is up, but it is not in slideshow.
Okay, very good. I'm going to start the slideshow right away so we can participate together. Okay. Now, so we're discussing about solar energy installation. And like we heard, my name is Vison. I CEO of Clean Energy. We've done some work across, but I'll talk about myself later, but let's delve into the topic. Now, we're going to discuss briefly, we really don't have more time, but my focus is to introduce this subject with such a clarity that will stir up your minds to begin to think renewable energy when you leave this meeting. So we're looking at the introduction to solar power systems, the basic components of a solar power system, and then very importantly, factors that affect the performance of solar installations. Question and answers will come later. Now, introduction. Now, solar power systems have become the main alternative power supply in Nigeria. If you if you've listened carefully at the former speaker, you will see the level at which the industry is really, really exploding. And in the past 5 years, there's been remarkable progress, and a number of times you discover that many of our people don't even want to be involved with NEPA anymore. I've had a number of customers that said to me that they don't even want anything to do with utility power at all. And by God's grace, we help them. So most cases, it's become the major source of energy, major source of energy. So, but in this conversation, we'll be discussing the various components of a solar power system, how they interact with one another, and the factors that affect their performance. A lot of times you discover that people don't really know how these things interact. So you see people saying, oh, solar doesn't work and all that stuff. This thing, can you power my AC? Can you power my freezer? All those kind of questions. We're going to deal with all of that in the course of this conversation. What are the things that make solar to work, and what are the things that make solar not to seem to work in some cases? These are some of the things we'll deal with, and as we make progress. Okay, now, what are the components of a solar power system? There are four main components. The four main components of the solar power system. The first one are the solar panels. Obviously, solar panels form the critical part of the solar power system. Now, I need to quickly say this because by virtue of the limitation we have as per the technological means for which this seminar is being organized, this platform, I'm currently sharing my screen, but eventually I'm going to move the screen away and I'm going to show you physically what these things look like if the time permits, because I have a solar panel in my office. I have all kinds of components here which I like to show. Now, so the four main components of a solar power system. Number one, the solar panels. That's the monocrystalline or the polycrystalline. The first kind of panel, basically, broadly speaking, you're looking at monocrystalline or polycrystalline. Now that monocrystalline is the kind of panels that have a single string of crystal. Now, like I was saying, we're going to discuss about the components of a solar power system. What are the factors that affect performance of solar installation? Questions and answers will follow later. Now, like I said initially, solar power systems have become a major alternative. When we're talking about constant power now, the first thing that crosses your mind is not to get a soundproof generator, but to get a solar power system. And it's becoming more popular and people are beginning to embrace those possibilities. Most of the time we discover that most people even prefer to just run off-grid. Most of our customers said they don't even want business with NEPA. I've had a couple of clients like that said to me that they don't even want to bother with NEPA anymore. Is it possible to run everything off-grid? And I said, of course, yes. And it's really wonderful because some of these customers have been having power for over 6 years without any connection to the grid. So in most cases, that become the main source of energy. But in this conversation, we're going to discuss the various components of a solar power system, how they interact with one another, and the factors that influence their performance. It's not strange to hear most people say, oh, does solar work? Does it power my this? I want to power my freezer. I want to power my AC. Can it really power all that stuff? And I've even heard people ask certain kinds of questions like that. Why do people feel that solar is weak? Solar is not, powerful. What are the challenges that we've seen in the field where people have this impression that solar energy, it doesn't work well? We're going to deal with all of that. How do you get these things to really work optimally and give you exactly what you want? And these are the things we're going to be dealing with as we progress. So now let's make progress. What are the components of a solar power system? There are four main components in the solar power system, four major components. The first one, obviously, are the solar panels. The second one, the charge controllers. Of course, the solar panels, we have two different kinds. Broadly speaking, the monocrystalline and the polycrystalline. Of course, there are different kinds of other solar panels, solar cells, but not really in commercial capacity. The ones you're going to see on the market, that's my focus today, are the monocrystalline or the polycrystalline. The monocrystalline are the ones that have a single, made from a single strand of cells. They're just one single strand of cells. They're slightly more efficient, and they have better performance in low light compared to the polycrystalline alternative. I'm going to show you right away how it looks like so that you can really embrace what we're talking about. If you see a solar panel that looks like this, generally speaking, you might just want to conclude that this is a monocrystalline panel. Look at that. The cells are all black or blue or whatever color it is. It's just the same all through. You don't see any other shades of different colors and stuff reflecting and all of that. Those other ones that you see, the panel looks like some wafers are inside, some kind of reflective stuff. Those ones are polycrystalline. Most of the time, you notice that they don't have this white spot. But that's not really a criteria. The real thing about is about the cells, and of course, they're going to write it for you when you're going to buy it. Now, the monocrystalline are slightly more expensive than the polycrystalline. So you want to also note that the investment is going to be slightly higher if you're going for a monocrystalline, but it's supposed to be a lot more effective. Now, the next thing we're talking about are the solar charge controllers. Solar charge controllers are broadly divided into two categories. The MPPT. What's the meaning of MPPT? Maximum power point tracking. We're going to discuss this in details, but I just want to lay them out so that I can understand how those things work. Now look at this. This is a solar charge controller. This solar charge controller is an MPPT solar charge controller. Look at that. MPPT solar charger. This is actually a very very rugged version of it. It's made by a Swedish company, very powerful stuff. It's actually 80 amps. And this charge controller, the MPPT charge controller is designed to give you maximum power points of the solar panel. We're going to discuss, I'm going to show you a short clip where you will see the effect of how the voltage and the current interplay in a solar array and how to really optimize the power output from that setup. So one of the things you're going to discover here is that the MPPT charge controller is much more effective in converting the sun's energy to charge the battery. But generally speaking, we know that the charge controllers are usually, used for charging of batteries. So now we have the MPPT and the PWM. PWM is just like a switch. It just switches off the charging when the battery is full. It doesn't really have anything to do with the optimizing of charge or whatever. So the PWM, pulse width modulated, it's just very straightforward. It doesn't do anything to optimize the performance. Generally speaking, the MPPT gives you 30% extra yield from your solar panels. Now, the inverters, wow, this one is very common. Sometimes people ask me what's the difference between inverters and solar, as though the two of them don't work together. Well, most of the time, the reason is because people have more interaction with inverters even before they start to talk about solar. But the inverters are actually the device that converts from direct current to alternating current. You see, in a solar array, the current that comes from the panel is primarily direct current, generally speaking, direct current. But you need your alternating current to power your ACs, your lights, your fan, and all of that. So why you have to use an inverter is because you have to actually make that conversion. And that device is the inverter. It converts from your alternating current, to direct current, to alternating current. But there are two broad categories, the pure sine wave and the modified sine wave. Most of the time, we have people use the modified sine wave. In certain cases when you may not really be dealing with inductive load or loads that require very clean outputs, you might just want to use modified sine wave. It's a lot more cheaper than your sine wave, but the sine wave is exactly the same as what you would get from your utility or your grid, okay, either from NEPA or any other source of electricity. And then finally, we have the batteries. You know, there are all kinds of batteries on the market. I need to say this. There are different types of batteries, and you can classify batteries in various types of categories. You know, but for today, I choose to group them into two groups. The first group I like to group these batteries into are the lead acid batteries. The lead acid batteries are the batteries you've been seeing. I mean, those batteries that look like batteries, you know them very well. You know, they are bulky, they are heavy. Some of them are flooded, that's the maintenance battery. Some of them are actually, you know, not flooded, that's the still maintenance free. So we have all kinds of batteries on the market, and you know there are a lot of things about batteries. But you know, all those categories of batteries, the ones used in your car, the ones used in your house, or inverters, all those categories of batteries can be grouped into one broad category, which is the lead acid battery. The technology is about the same thing, lead acid battery. But you know, in today's conversation, I like to reintroduce to all of us, which was not a new thing, but it's been there. Research has been on for about 20, 30 years, but it's becoming more popular, the lithium-ion batteries. The lithium-ion batteries are another type of technology which actually brings a new perspective to the technology of batteries. A lot more compact, energy density is higher, and of course, it lasts much longer. Your typical lead acid battery would do 3 to 5 years, but this particular lead batteries could do, the lithium-ion batteries could do 8 years, 10 years, 15 years, or even as much as 20-something years, depending on the quality of the design. Very, really long, but I'm going to show you a picture of a lithium-ion. I need you to see how this battery really looks like, so that you can really appreciate what we're talking about. I don't know if you're seeing this. This is a lithium-ion battery. Look at that. It comes with something that I see it's in the package, but the design is really, really cool. This is the power button. You can switch it off and you can switch it on. Now, it has its own indicator to tell you the battery level and all that, but when you turn the battery, you can see where the terminals are, the terminal blocks are. I'm going to show you that right away. Look at the terminal blocks. That's the negative terminal, and then that's the positive terminal. You see that? Very, very clear. So these are the terminal blocks. It has a fan to cool itself down. You know, it looks more like a machine, but it's actually a battery pack. And this battery pack is, this particular one I'm showing you, is 24 volts, 200 amp hour. If you have to look at it in terms of kilowatt hour, look at the specifications. I need to show you all this so you can really see, you know, what we're talking about. Look at that. That's the battery pack. Look at that, the number of voltage, all that stuff. We're going to discuss this in detail. So now, by the time you see that, battery, you discover that this is a different technology altogether. There are different shades and sizes of lithium-ion battery, but these ones come really, you know, handy because it's quite within an affordable limit. The drawback of lithium-ion is the initial cost is very high, but comparing with the lifespan and the longevity, they're becoming really popular in the renewable energy space. These are the kind of batteries that are used in electric cars, so you can understand how critical and important those batteries are. Now, what are the factors that influence the performance of a solar panel? I'd like to show you something right now. Let me just stop and start again. I just want to quickly stop and start again. I'm going to show you a video clip now that talks about shading. Shading. What does shading do to solar panels? Okay. Okay. I'm back up now. Let me share my screen again. Okay, so I'd like to show you this. Now look at this. We did an experiment, to show you what, well, not really an experiment, but just a demonstration to show you what shading does to the solar panels. There are a number of other factors, but this is really striking because most people don't really appreciate the effect of shading. So we did this clip yesterday to show you what this does. Just listen carefully as you watch the clip. We're trying to evaluate what this does to a solar panel. Are you hearing the sound? Are they hearing the water? They can't hear. They can't hear. Now, did you see what I just showed you now? Let me pause this video. Are we together? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Very good. Did you just see that demonstration? The short circuit current of the solar panel, that is the maximum current that the solar panel can give at that time, was, as at the time it was 1.8. I'll show you that. I'll show you that. Yeah, that's it. 1.8 amps. Did you see that? But immediately a shade was introduced. Now take note that the shade is just a little portion of the panels. Please take note. The shade is only covering a line, just a line, just like a 2-inch line across the panel. But the other part of the panel are still shining in the sun, the hot sun. But look at what happens to the output power. It drops to 0.8. Look at that. It drops to 0.8. So from 1.8, it dropped to 0.8. Less than half of what was there before, just because you had a 2-inch or perhaps 2.5-inch line, dark line across the panel. Did you see that? Are we together,
Yes.
please?
Yes, we are.
Very good. So because of that, you can discover that this matter is very crucial. Sometimes people install solar panels and, oh, no, just a little shade. That little shade can cost you a lot. Let's continue this. I'm going to show you other things that we demonstrated when we were doing this video. Look at that. The solar panels are still fully in the sun. We didn't cover the whole panel. It's just a part of it. But half of the current is completely disappeared, you see. And then when you take it up, look at that. It jumps back up. Look at that. 1.7. It goes back up twice the value of what was there, just because of a little shade across the panel. Let's do it again. Look at that. We put it back immediately and it dropped back. Look at that. 0.7, 0.8. Look at that. It dropped again. So this is really important, because by the time you discover what is going on here, you will understand that this is really critical. Now we're going to investigate another feature of this solar panel, because the solar panel provides electricity. And we know basically from the component of electricity, we have the power, and the power is the multiplication of the voltage and the current. We just investigated the effect of shading on the current you get from the solar panel, but we're going to check what happens with the voltage. Look at that. Look at that. We're going to do a demonstration now. That's the open circuit voltage we wanted to measure there. And as we're measuring that open circuit voltage, you'll see what happens. The open circuit voltage is 40.35. Look at that. That's the open circuit voltage. The shading doesn't affect the voltage. Did you see that? The voltage is almost the same, 40.2, 40.3, no significant difference. Now, this is really important because most of the times when you're installing solar, most installers, they don't understand how to measure the current of the solar panel. They're only reading the voltage. Now, that is not enough because you need to multiply the voltage and the current to get the total power. So people are only studying the voltage. They don't know anything about the current. And you need specialized equipment to be able to read the current. Most equipment you find in the market can only tell you about the voltage. And you use that to do your design, you can just get it really wrong. So these are things we need to explain so that people can understand how solar works. Look at it again. Look at it again. 40.0. 40.3. Look at that. Nothing really changes. Now, I want to tell you something else. Because of the fact that the current is affected significantly when the shading happens, there has to be a way to convert the voltage, which is unaffected, back to current to make do for that shortage. Because this is an ideal situation. In a real life situation, there may be one or two things shading the panel at some point, and that is where the maximum power point tracking comes into play. The maximum power point tracking charge controller helps you to really optimize the performance of your solar panel by making up for some of these losses here and there, acting like a voltage converter to convert the voltage to current and make up for that extra loss. So your MPPT charge controller might appear to be more expensive than the PWM, but it gives you what no other charge controller can do. So you need to understand that as a solar installer, you do not have any business with PWM if you're going to have any situation that is less than perfect. And of course, unless maybe you're installing it in the north where you have a lot of sun from morning to night, but even at that, the MPPT still gives you much more energy output. I can imagine that most of you are still using PWM charge controllers. This is probably why your solar installation is not as effective as it should be. Yeah. So I just wanted to do a demonstration so that we can see in clear details what makes solar to work. Something very minor, something that doesn't look like it to be something serious. These are some of the things that could actually, get you into serious trouble. Now let me go back to our slides as we make progress. I know a lot of questions are already coming up. Take down your questions. We're going to handle them very shortly. Let me go back to the meet presentation now. Okay, so now are we together now?
Yes.
So,
Yes, yeah, we do.
Shading has just been explained. This is a very short presentation. I need to say this. We are looking forward to a time when we can actually demonstrate the effect of each of these parameters one after the other in clear terms. Because part of the things that bedevil the solar industry is the fact that most people don't understand what makes this thing to work. And if you don't understand it, you're not going to know what to do. You're going to keep doing the same thing over and over and wonder why it's not working. I've met people, they said, I bought 15 batteries. I brought the battery from Germany. I brought it from Israel. I've even met a customer that imported his batteries from America. And it was supposed to be very good batteries. But the challenge he had was that the batteries were not designed for solar application. They were not deep cycle batteries. They were shallow cycle batteries. He spent so much money, but he didn't get what he wanted. So when he called us, we had to put these things in place. Now, why I'm saying this is because it will not be possible for us to give you the entire spectrum of knowledge that you would want to have from this training just immediately. But we're preparing ourselves because, like I said, it's something that we're committed to doing, to building capacity. We're going to have more seminars coming up, more trainings, and different. I'd like you to make sure you subscribe because you see, if you miss those ones you might not get, because right now our time is already almost fast spent, and I may not be able to go into details. I just wanted to show you how serious each of these factors we have mentioned are. The angle of inclination of the panel is as important as shading too. So while you're trying to install your panels in a place where there's no shading at all, you also want to be careful that the angle at which those panels were installed were actually the proper angle. Are you going to point the panels towards the south, towards the north, towards the west? What are the factors that influence all these relative positioning? We're going to discuss that in subsequent, presentations. The next thing I'd like to talk about is the sizing of the panel cables, cable sizing and quality. This is very, very important. I met a customer that did installation. He said he doesn't want anything like batteries around his house and all of that, that they should install it in some place, one generator house, apart from the main building. The couple said to them that the first builder installed that they don't like the look of batteries and all those wire stuff, that they should just put in the generator house or somewhere close to the generator house. So they installed that thing away from the main house, but the people that came to install that system did not factor in that distance. They got the cable right. The quality of the cable was fine. The cable sizing was not factored into the equation. So when they installed that thing, it never really worked. Of course, they met us and said, okay, your own solar work, one thing. I saw them. When I met them, I said to them, this thing cannot work this way. They said, what's the problem? The batteries are good, the inverter is good, the panels are good. So what's the problem? We quickly identified that the cable was not properly designed. Apparently, the installer didn't have in mind that they're going to install the panels, the batteries very far away from the main building or where the panels were installed. So all that stuff played into the performance. And I said to them, I said, change this cable sizing to this particular sizing, and he paid for it. Immediately we did that, everything came back up. So something like this might not really strike you as something important. After all, the thing is conducting energy. And I need to say this, if you get a wrong cable to do your solar installation, you're not going to have a situation where the cable starts warming up and starts heating up. Most of the time, you have a wrong connection in your house, you start smelling something, you suspect there's something wrong, the cable starts melting. This is not the same case for solar. The way solar panels are designed, it doesn't really, the electromotive force is not so strong as to melt up a wire that is weak in carrying the power down. So what will happen is that the wire will just carry exactly the current that it can carry. The other ones will be left untapped. So you touch the wire is not hot, you just think, oh, it's okay. Meanwhile, you shortchange the entire process because you didn't do the right calculation. And I need to say this, many of you are trying to cut down the cost of solar. And as far as you're concerned, in cutting down the quality of the cable, the thickness of the cable, of course, a lot of cost to be shaved off at that point. But you don't know that you're shortchanging yourself and you're undermining the performance of that system. These are some of the things that make solar not to work. And people say, oh, solar does not work. Oh, I did this, I spent 3 million, it didn't work. I spent 5 million, it didn't work. I bought this thing. Yeah, you can buy everything complete. Everything can be good. I mean, you can even import it from Germany or US or Russia, wherever you want to import it from. But just because you didn't get it right at the level of the cable, I've mentioned the shading, I mentioned the inclination of panel, cable sizing and quality. Even the length of the cable has to be calculated. You can buy the correct cable, buy the correct size, but when the length becomes longer than the power can carry, significant amount of losses can undermine the performance of that system. Are we still together?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
So, oh, very good, very good. So I like to just highlight that, and I think this brings us to the end of this technical session. And why I'm saying this is because we have a lot of other things to deal with, and I just want to take a few questions from here. Let's just have some questions. I've mentioned a few things, how solar works, the components, and all of this. So what would be the question? Let me take a few questions here. Our time is really, really up, but I think I can take a few questions.
Okay, thank you very much for that excellent presentation. We've learned a lot about the installation of solar systems. But I mean, we have other Africans in the room today to listen to you. So I don't know if you could, broaden some of the things that you've discussed in perspective of Africa. Like, okay, the challenges that you've mentioned and how to overcome them. How do you put them in perspective? Like, okay, if someone is listening to this station from Ghana. How are you? What do you advise, or what advice do you have for them? Did you get the question?
Yeah. Okay, so you said that I didn't get it very clearly. Could you just repeat it, please?
Yes, I mean that there are other participants from other countries in the room who are listening to you.
Yes.
So I mean, I would want you to put in perspective some of the things that you highlighted in terms of the African perspective, not just maybe limiting them to maybe Nigerian situation. So while we collate other questions for you.
Okay. No problem. In Africa, we pretty much are sitting on the same part of the equator. So much of the differences would be in terms of the angle of inclination of your panels. If you're looking at it from another country in Africa, your own right angle for inclining your panel might be different if you're in Nigeria. But every other factor I mentioned is as crucial to you wherever you are on the globe. The only factor that might become relative to your geographical location is the angle of inclination. Where do you point your panel? And these are things we're going to discuss in a more technical session, and we'll look at it very, very, very closely. Yeah.
Okay, in terms of business, in terms of business, do you have partnership with other solar energy companies in Africa?
You're asking if Clean Energy has such partnerships with other companies in Africa?
Yes.
Well, not particularly in Africa, but in various other parts of the world, but not particularly in Africa at the moment. Yes.
Would you welcome one?
Yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah, why not? Much of what we're doing is a multidisciplinary function. So we are always open to such conversations when we have such opportunities. Something that is mutually beneficial and helps to expand the confidence in the industry is a great idea, very great idea.
Okay, thank you very much. In case we have more questions, we'll direct them to you much later. Right now.
Nanake. Yes, Nanake, hello. Okay, Nanake, please hang on a little bit. Can I just invite Professor Udo, do you have any question regarding your installation thing that you want to ask Onuk? Is Prof in the house?
Yes, I'm in the house, of course. I'm in the house.
Yeah. Do you have any technical questions that you want? Yes, do you want Onuk? Is there any question that you like Onuk to address regarding installations? What were your challenges?
Well, I really don't have questions right now. My major concern regarding solar energy is cost. I mean, the people I talked to on a daily basis. Yesterday, we talked about a guy that's starting a new computer business, and he's considering installing solar energy. But the point is, his major concern is cost. My major concern, therefore, can we install this thing at a cheaper cost? And I can say that there is a research I saw once at MIT, and they have a very low cost solar panels that we can install on our own. But the point is, I've talked to a few guys who install solar energy. They don't have solar cells. Most of these cells are already configured and sent to this country because, according to them, the cost is it's expensive for them to begin to install solar cells here in Nigeria. So people in China or something configure those things and send it to them because of technology, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that looking at that MIT stuff, we can configure solar cells that will give us energy, a sufficient energy in our house. Maybe not to run refrigerators and freezers, but to run a lot of the other things we need. And that bothers me. I think we should be looking at that. The thing I learned from this presentation also is the fact that, solar batteries are different from the conventional batteries that we use for other things. And many people do not take that into consideration. And like Onuk said, they get into a lot of problems doing that. So I think this is useful. And like he says, there'll be other training in this regard. I am sure that when people come in contact with this kind of information, it will enlighten us a lot more and show us probably that solar energy is the way to go, and it is not as expensive if we begin to think right about it. Thanks, Onuk, for the presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much. So maybe that leads us to the cells and the costing. So maybe, yeah. So Narake, over to you to introduce the next speaker that will throw more light in terms of the cells and costing. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so we will be listening to Ine Onuk, who is Executive Director at Clean Energy. She will be the one to handle the next station on cells. So Ine Onuk is the Executive Director of Clean Energy and has been involved in digital marketing. Sorry, we are getting some feedback on the, I don't know, let me check. Okay, sorry about that. So she has been involved in digital marketing and sales over the past 7 years, and she's also an ICT consultant. Ine Onuk has garnered experience in leveraging consultative sales strategies that build and maintain relationships with prospective clients, and is presently managing social media campaigns and designs at Clean Energy. So we welcome Ine Onuk to our next station. So I will hand over the presentation to her.
Yes, I think, yeah, while waiting for Ine, I think Onuk has more information in respect of costing. So maybe he can. I think there's a question from Etia too about maintenance requirements. And if Shegun also wants to throw more light in terms of models for installation payments, then maybe we can we can take that while waiting for Ine to be prepared to speak to us.
Okay, that's
so
fine.
Onuk, yeah, Onuk, please, the floor is yours. Or Shegun, are you ready to talk? Or do you want to throw more light on them and on more on different models of financing?
Yes, I can. If you can, you hear me?
Okay. Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. So thank you, Ma, and thank you, Prof, for that question. I agree with you. One of the major constraints to adopting solar is what I would rather call the initial capital cost of acquisition. So, for example, for Babas that we deploy for, they buy a generator for 32,000 naira. That's the initial cost. And then they buy fuel every day, right? But if they want to do solar, it costs an average of $1,000, and they don't have that money now. The business model that has been deployed all around the world to solve this problem is what we call the pay-as-you-go or lease-to-own business model, and it's running in Nigeria already. So tomorrow we're off to Ibadan, where we're installing a 5 kilowatt solution, 8 batteries, and the rest. I mean, it comes at about 3.5 million naira, and then financed by a bank, and the customer will be paying every month over 2-3 years, and then he can own the system thereafter. What he will be paying every month will be cheaper than what he's currently spending on his generator. It's all about business model, and I think that's what Nigeria should also begin to look at, and all of us. Just to make a comment about the issue of costing, which I agree with you, the initial capital cost is high, but business models has made it easy. As you can buy a new car by leasing it and paying by installment over 3-4 years to own it. Same thing with solar now. Thank you.
Thank you, Shegun. And I am okay. Etia, do you want to ask your question? Etia is asking about maintenance requirements that may reduce operational performance. Who is going to take that? Shegun, okay. Are you talking on that? Okay, or Onuk, okay.
Well, that's one of the points I mentioned. when I was, maybe I should share my screen again. When I was talking about the lithium ion batteries, the thing about maintenance of solar is that, hello, are we together? Are we seeing my screen, please?
Yes.
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 You've seen this battery here, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So now that is a kind of battery. This battery lasts for 8 to 10 years. Or there are other types of lithium-ion battery that can even last for 20 years. So the maintenance requirement is not really something you want to lose sleep about if you got it right the first time. And like the Shegun said, when you do the maths, energy is expensive either way you look at it. When you do the maths, you discover that it's even cheaper. You know, the real problem is that most time people get it wrong, and that is where it really gets painful. You get involved wrongly, it's almost like you're flushing your money down the toilet. And that's a sad reality, you know, until when you get it right, then you begin to really enjoy the benefits. So maintenance requirements, if you're replacing the battery after 10 years, would that really be a problem? Think about it, you know, maintenance. And another thing I want to quickly chip in is this, you know, the cost of roofing a house is about the same cost of powering that house 24 hours, if you check it. Some people spend as much as 7-8 million just to roof their house. I'm not talking about the cost of the land. And some people spend up to 15 million just to roof the house. Now that kind of person, why he hasn't installed solar is not because he doesn't have the money. Because when you're looking at solar, so it's initially capital intensive. I can also tell you that buying a car is capital intensive, but we have all kinds of cars on the roads. Some of the cars people drive cost up to 35 million, 50 million, 60 million. But those people don't have solar in their houses. You know, they are still running these big generators and stuff. The reason is not cost. And you know, this is one of the things I discovered in my career as I started working seriously in this field. Most of the time, people look at it, oh, it's cost, but no, it's not cost. The problem is they don't even have confidence in these things. They don't even believe these things. And I'm going to show you one of our customers. This is a customer, a 30 kilowatts installation we did for him. And you see, this installation was done on the back of a strong, you know, performance of a system he already had. When I installed this thing for him in his main house in 2014, I told him he should knock off his generator, knock off NEPA. He has been running since 2014 till date without power supply from the grid. And he hasn't had power failure once. Well, maybe just once or twice when he had some maintenance issues to deal with in the entire stretch of 6 years. So at the time he met us to do this installation, that was 2016, he already run on power off grid for 2 straight years. So when I spoke to him about it, it wasn't easy for him to spend 30, 40 million to get this done because he knew what he was dealing with. So the real issue now, people always say expensive, not expensive. No, it's not expensive the way we think. Like Shegun said, the cost of solar is already approaching parity. You know, it's already getting to parity because at the point you look at it now, your NEPA bills. I have a customer that told me that she spends 300,000 monthly on electricity, not diesel, on power, 300,000. So that kind of person is already in a difficult situation going forward because the electricity tariffs are going to be reviewed, you know, and all of that. And then the power situation might not really improve. So solar still becomes that, you know, silver bullet in terms of energy. I tell you, the earlier we realize that, the better. There are a lot of projects we've done, and all the people invested a lot of money. Look at this, a pharmacy, you know, running the entire place on solar because they've seen it over and over again. I mean, how do you explain that with a single investment, your energy future is guaranteed for at least even if it's 10 years? That is not something you want to just, you know, toss aside because maybe you didn't have the money at that time. There's something worth investing in, you know. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So do we have any reaction from anybody in the house before we wrap up, because time is not friendly, and we've had a long session today. So do we have any other reaction in the house just to make sure everybody's happy? Otherwise, it will be time to appreciate our speakers and look forward to having another session that will be focused on cells. Because of time, we can't take the cells session today because we really need to dive into it. So if we have any reaction, is there anybody that wants to say something? Otherwise,
yes,
yeah, who?
please.
Okay,
Yes,
please,
please.
can you unmute yourself and then go ahead, please? Hello, please, can you identify yourself and please, the floor is yours if you want to say something.
My name is Emmanuel Usa.
Okay, go ahead.
Currently I'm researching on wind, combining wind with the solar. During my course of my research, we have been successful in making that to be a single unit that can take that dual source of power. This was experimented on 2.5 kVA. And today, somebody has bought the concept and we have installed 10 kVA for him. And this has proved that it is doable. My first presentation was on the small SME. And we have seen that what we research on and come out with can save a lot of SME that need from 2.5 kVA to maybe 5 kVA for their businesses. And the result has been amazing that it can have power for between 18 to 24 hours continuously without noise, without pollution. And the total weight of the product is about 20 kg. So you can carry it home. And that's without much interconnectivity, just plug and play. That's plugging in your solar panels to the system, and then at the other end, you load whatever you want to load. It's unfortunate my system has broken down. I would have showed you the clearer picture of how the setup looks like. I've listened to so many speakers since we started this discussion. I quite agree with them that our problem right now is people being aware that that's the way to go. And it's cheaper in the long cost to run a solar renewable system. I look forward for more information on this on my own side to talk with all the participants and also to cooperate or partner with them. Currently, there is a roofing system that you don't need to roof your house with solar panels, but roof it with that and you still get the power you need. So it serves dual purposes, both for the generation of the needed energy and also for your roofing. I look forward for more information from this platform and for more contribution to this platform. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So Segun, you see, at the university, we have researches that are going, and we hope that industry will be interested to collaborate with us. On this note, I'd like to appreciate sincere appreciations to our speakers, Segun and Onuk, and to all our participants. And we hope to see you again in our next edition of this workshop. Thank you so much. Please, we'd like to have a photograph. Can we all on video ourselves, and then we'll just have a photograph, and then that will be it for today. Thank you so much. Nana, get back to you.
Okay, yes, thank you very much. Please, we would like everyone to, put on their videos.
Are you seeing me? Because I don't know.
Emmanuel Osa, could you switch on your
How
video?
come you don't want to say anything to us today, bringing in your UK experience?
I have a lot on my mind. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. I think we've taken that.
Okay.